What's up, Make Pop Music? Welcome back to another video. I'm Chris. I'm so happy to be back. Thank you to Austin and the Make Pop Music team for letting me come back on here for a new tutorial for you guys. And I'm super excited because we're going to be talking about music theory. But it's a very fundamental concept that will make all the difference in your music once you understand exactly what we're talking about here. So I wanted to give you two notes that will basically help you create harmony. And it's pretty fundamental, so we're going to get into it right away here. I've actually downloaded a C major scale here. So if you read notes, you can see here that we have the C major scale, right? So what we're going to focus on is the first note of the scale, which is the tonic or the root, and also the third note, which is the median in classical terminology, or you could just call it the third note or the third. So what I'm going to do is I'm just quickly going to put an oval around it just to show you the two types of notes we're talking about. So we have the C here, copy that. No, I didn't want to copy the whole picture, just the circle. There we go. And the E as well. So these two notes are especially fundamental because in any given chord, the chord is based off of three different notes. Okay, and usually it's created from the root, the third, and the fifth of a scale. That's considered the tonic chord of a major scale. So if we're playing in C major, right, the three notes are going to be C, E, and G. So actually, let me copy this circle and move that over here. So C, E, and G create this C major chord, and as a result, a major chord is a very happy sound. It's very uplifting. It gives us a sense of happiness. Okay. Now, the really cool thing is that I could take out this G. So I could go, instead of playing C, E, G, I could take out the G and just get this. And you still get that fundamental happy sound, you know, because of the relationship between the C and the E. So the root or the tonic, the one, first note of the scale, and the third of the scale, the relationship between those two notes is very, very important because that's what establishes if the scale is a happy sound or happy scale versus a sad scale. So I'm actually going to delete this red oval here. And now you can see I'm left with this C and E, right? And the distance between these two notes is 4 half steps. So if I start from C, you can take a look at down here at this blue keyboard here. I'm going to play the C. And if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, I've now gone to the E. And this interval is called a major third, okay? Major third. It's called a third because we're going from C to E, which is 3 letters, C, D, E, okay? So that's an interval. And it's called major third because, well, it creates kind of like a major sound. And the third note here, the E, belongs in the C major scale, okay? So super important. For example, if I did like C to A, for example, like that, first of all, we would count the intervals, C, D, E, F, G, A. So that's 6th, so we call that a 6th. And the A is also found in the C major scale, so we call that a major 6th. You also have minor 6th, you can have augmented or diminished 6th. Those are the other types of intervals. But in this video, we're focusing on the major interval, okay? So anyway, from C to E, we call it a major third. And this is what creates this nice happy sound. So that's the two important notes we need to know, all right? So now knowing this, we could just play any major third and it creates a happy sound. It doesn't really matter what note I start on, okay? So for example, if I start on like D, for example, so before I was playing C, now let's go to D. And if I go up another major third, so that means 4 half steps or 4 semitones, 1, 2, 3, 4, D to F sharp, and we get this happy sound again, right? If I add in the 5th note of the D major scale, which is A, it kind of completes that chord. But the fundamental happy sound is, you know, belongs to the root and the third. Those two notes together create that happy sound, okay? So now one thing you can do actually is, instead of playing the D and the F sharp right next to each other like that, because you see they're very, very close, you can actually take one of the notes and lower it or raise it an octave. Okay, so if I took this D and I actually brought it down to the next D down here, it doesn't really change anything. You know, it still has that major happy sound. I mean, the notes sound a little bit further apart, but the overall major quality is the same, right? Versus if I took the F sharp and moved it up an octave, same thing, you know? It's still spread apart a bit more, but it's still a happy sound, right? So if you really wanted to, you could just start off a song with this type of this sound here, this root and this major third. And this very quickly establishes the fact that we're in a certain key. You know, the listener might not know what key exactly unless they have perfect pitch. But we know it starts off with a kind of a happy quality, and that's because of these two notes right here. This root note and its corresponding major third above the root. Okay, so I could do it on E, for example, right? Now, you know, to give you an example, Justin Bieber and Ed Sheeran's Love Yourself takes advantage of this technique. So it's a very, you know, minimal production type of song. There's not very much going on. There's an electric guitar. There's a trumpet in the bridge, right? And I don't know, you know, really much else than the singing, of course. But let's just solo this jazz guitar here, and I'll just play you the very first part of the song, and I'll show you how simple it actually is. So here we go. Okay, so there we go. That's basically the same chord progression, just repeated over and over, except I think in the chorus it does change a little bit. So anyway, let me show you what's happening here. The first notes I'm playing are E and G sharp. So if we have the E major scale, which has 4 sharps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the relationship between the first note, which is E, and the second note, or sorry, the third note, I guess, is a major third. Right? So you can see here E to G sharp is a major third because it has 4 half steps in between, 1, 2, 3, 4. And so this is a major third. And again, we said that this creates this happy sound. So we start off with this, and you know, you get the second, or you get a repetition of it just to give it kind of a beat, a rhythm, right? So there's that. Then, so immediately we know it's a happy sound, right? Then what we do is we go down to D sharp and F sharp, okay? And now this is, if we bring the D sharp up an octave here, you'll see that this is a minor third because we only have 3 half steps in between. So from the D sharp, I'm going to go up 3 half steps, 1, 2, 3, and hopefully you're following along at the bottom here, taking a look at this keyboard. So D sharp, go up 1, 2, 3, and we get this kind of a minor sound. Because if I add this 5th on top, this A sharp, this is called a D sharp minor chord. But anyway, these 2 notes alone create more of a sad quality, you know? And these 2 notes work really well in the context of the song because these 2 notes belong in the E major scale. So if I go E, G sharp, that's the first 2 notes. Then we go down to do a minor third now, and then we follow it up with another minor third. This is C sharp to E. So C sharp, 1, 2, 3 is a minor third right there. Okay, so mixing in your major thirds with your minor thirds is especially useful, and the way you do that is pretty interesting. That we can save that topic for another video, but I kind of want to show you the power of just using these 2 simple notes, the root and the third of a chord. Okay, let's go on to the next part of the progression. Then we have, right? So this part here is F sharp and A, right? So the chord that's suggested here, I think, is the 2 chord of E major, which is F sharp minor. Okay, and so we don't even get the 5th here. Like we mentioned, we don't need the 5th to make the quality of the chord or the quality of this these 2 notes. So it's a minor sound, F sharp to A, a minor third. Then it goes down to E and G sharp, which is again a major third. That's the first chord of the scale, the E major, right? A major third, and then we get back to this D sharp and F sharp, which is another minor third. So far we've only had the major third being E and G sharp, which is the tonic to the mediant, right? Then these other ones, D and F sharp, D sharp, F sharp, and C sharp, E, these are all minor thirds, and so is this F sharp, and A, right? Right? So it's kind of experimenting with different chords within your scale, you know. And one exercise I like to do with my students is stack up chords from each scale degree of the scale. So for example, C would be the first note of the scale. So we go C, E, G, because scale chords are stacked in thirds. C, E, G, D, F, A, E, G, B, F, A, C, G, B, D, and so on, right? And then the easy way to do that is, you know, you have C here. So then you go up a third and you put E on top, and then you put G on top like that. You can even just do it using the letters. That's super helpful, I think. And then you kind of dissect, like, is the relationship between the first two notes, is it a major third or a minor third? Is the relationship between the upper two notes of the chord major third or minor third, you know? And using this, you can kind of see how major chords and minor chords are actually built. So, you know, doing a little bit of research tells you that a major chord is built using a major third on the bottom and then a minor third above that. And then a minor chord is built with a minor third plus a major third on top. So it's 4 half steps plus 3 half steps for a major triad, and 3 half steps plus 4 half steps for a minor triad. So playing with the relationships between the major thirds and minor thirds and seeing what works is definitely a really cool way to input some harmony into your song. If you're kind of stuck on a chord progression, you're not really sure what to do, experiment with just the very basics. Go with the root of whichever scale degree you're choosing. So if I'm in C major, right? Let's say I'm going, right? Even that right there, this gives me the C major sound because I'm playing C and E. So this is the third, the root and the third. Then I go to the root and third again, but starting on D, and just keep going up. Right? And it's just really cool and pretty fun to do, because you get some sad intervals there with the minor thirds, but you get some happy intervals there, you know, with the major thirds. So playing around with those combinations is what will kind of spark your ideas. And this is just staying within one scale, by the way, right? We're just staying within C major, and in the Love Yourself, it's in the E major, right? So that's just 2 possible keys. Then you have a whole bunch of minor keys you can use, and also like 10 other major keys as well. So, but really breaking it down to the fundamentals is super useful. And if you can really understand what the thirds are doing, if it's a major third or a minor third, understanding what the context of it within the song is, you know, that is super important. So if you're interested in seeing a video on that, like seeing how to actually, you know, choose different thirds and putting those into your songs and stuff like that, please leave a comment down below. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. This video, again, was more of explaining what's actually happening in a song like Love Yourself when you just have a very minimal production and that guitar playing 2 notes at one time. Like, what kind of information does that give us? Well, it tells us if it's a happy sound, or a sad sound through the major third and the minor third. Okay. So if you have any questions about that, please leave them down in the comments below as well. I'd be more than happy to answer and help you out if you need. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks again, Make Pop Music, for having me, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good day, guys. Bye-bye.